We like to think that death in prehistory was a simple, streamlined affair. A hunter falls off a cliff. The rest of the tribe glances at the sky, assesses the weather, grabs his spare spears, and keeps walking. No speeches, no flowers, no emotional paperwork. That version of the past makes intuitive sense. In a world where every single calorie counts, spending time, energy, and physical labor on someone who is no longer breathing seems like evolutionary lunacy. And yet, if you dig down through 100,000 years of dirt across Ice Age Europe and the Levant, you keep running into a very inconvenient discovery: shallow pits. Small piles of red ochre. Panther claws carefully placed next to a skull. Shell beads woven into the hair of someone who died 30,000 years ago. Animals die all the time, but humans are the only creatures on Earth that refuse to let a corpse just be meat. At some point in our evolutionary timeline, we decided that when a body stopped working, the relationship didn't automatically end. So, when did we start caring about the dead? Was it love? Was it terror? Or did we invent grief because we realized that forgetting someone was harder than burying them? To understand why humans began burying their dead, you first have to understand why human brains are inconveniently large. Most animals live in what biologists call the eternal present. They feel loss. An elephant will stand beside a dead calf for days. A chimpanzee mother will carry a deceased infant until it mummifies. But their grief is tied to the physical presence of the body. Once the body decomposes, the animal moves on. Humans took a different path. As our ancestors developed episodic memory and abstract thought, we gained a strange, terrible superpower: the ability to hold a person inside our head long after they left the room. Think about what a member of a prehistoric band represented. An elder wasn't just a body. She was the index of every edible root within 50 miles, the weather forecast for the upcoming winter, and the only person who remembered which river crossing had hidden quicksand. When she died, her physical presence was gone, but her voice, her lessons, and her social authority remained active in everyone else's minds. The group couldn't simply reset their brains. Grief wasn't an emotional luxury. It was the cognitive side effect of complex social memory. And so, early humans faced a brand new problem. What do you do with a body when the person inside it refuses to vanish from your thoughts? Proving that an ancient skeleton was buried rather than eaten by hyenas is one of the most contentious jobs in archaeology. Animals drag bones into caves. Water washes remains into crevices. Dirt collapses naturally. To prove intentional burial, archaeologists have to act like crime scene investigators working a cold case that is 50,000 years old. Let's look at the evidence. Case 1. The Pit of Bones, Sima de los Huesos, Spain. Deep inside a cave system in northern Spain, researchers found the remains of at least 28 individuals belonging to Homo heidelbergensis, dating back roughly 430,000 years. There are no signs of animal gnawing, no evidence they lived in the deep cave, and no stone tools, except for one: a single, exquisitely crafted red quartzite hand axe nicknamed Excalibur. Did a group of ancient hominins intentionally haul 28 dead companions through pitch-black tunnels and drop them down a vertical shaft with a symbolic token? If so, this might be the oldest recorded funerary site in human history. Case 2. The Shanidar Flower Burial, Iraq. In the 1950s, archaeologist Ralph Seletsky excavated Shanidar cave in Iraq and found Shanidar 4, a Neanderthal buried in a flexed, fetal position. Soil samples revealed high concentrations of pollen from yarrow, cornflower, and grape hyacinth, plants known for their medicinal properties. For decades, this was celebrated as the ultimate proof of Neanderthal tenderness: the flower burial. Modern reanalyses suggest the pollen might have been brought in by burrowing solitary bees, but the controversy itself underscores a deeper truth. Whether flowers were placed intentionally or not, the body was placed in a carefully dug pit, sheltered from scavengers. Case 3. Sungir, Russia. Fast forward to 34,000 years ago at Sungir, Russia. Two children are buried head to head. They are adorned with over 10,000 mammoth ivory beads, ivory spears, and pierced fox teeth. Crafting a single bead took an estimated 45 minutes. The grave goods represent thousands of hours of collective human labor, invested in children who would never contribute a single calorie back to the tribe. This was no longer just disposal. This was a statement. When modern people look at these ancient graves, we tend to project our own feelings backward. We assume a burial means love, respect, and emotional closure. But prehistory was complicated, and ancient motives rarely fit into tidy modern categories. Consider the practical alternatives. Hyena prevention. A rotting corpse near a shelter is a beacon for large carnivores. Burying a body keeps cave bears from knocking on your front door at midnight. Fear of the unseen. In many historical indigenous societies, rituals around the dead were performed not just to honor the deceased, but to keep their spirit from returning to haunt the living. Placing heavy stones on a corpse or covering it with red ochre might have been an act of protection or an act of containment. Group identity. A grave is a permanent stake in the ground. In a world where mobile bands competed for territories, burying your ancestors in a specific cave signaled, "We belong here." Our roots are literally in this dirt. Notice how these explanations overlap. Caring for the dead didn't have to be purely practical or purely spiritual. It was likely both. Today, we live in a world surrounded by monuments to memory. We build mausoleums, construct digital memorials, and maintain cemeteries that occupy prime real estate in our most expensive cities. We do this because we are the heirs to a 400,000-year-old tradition. Civilization didn't begin when we built our first city or harvested our first field of wheat. It began when a small group of hominins stood around a body, looked down into the dark, and made a decision. We are not leaving you here to be forgotten. Grief is an expensive emotion. It slows us down, makes us vulnerable, and forces us to expend effort on things that yield zero material return. But it is also the price we pay for living in a community where every individual matters enough to be remembered. A bad knee didn't mean you were abandoned in life, and a stopped heart didn't mean you were discarded in death. Beneath all our modern technology, laws, and institutions, human culture rests on that ancient, stubborn refusal to let go.